PSOJ Business Bites. Of course, I'm Rochelle Mitchell, your host, and today is our last show for the season. So it's only befitting that I brought you somebody who is a CEO, a mogul, a mentor, a mother, and somebody who I would like to think has put Jamaica on the map in so many different arenas. A queen of all trades, Mrs. Jean Lowrie Chin, the executive chairman of Procom, ProDev, and CCRP. Welcome to PSOJ Business Bites.
Thank you so much, Rochelle.
You're very welcome. Now, Mrs. Chin, early beginnings in public relations. How did this love affair begin?
Well, I'm really a writer at heart. That is my passion, writing. And so my first job was with the Jamaica Daily News. And when I left university, I went and applied, and they said there was no vacancy. And I said, I just need 1 minute with the editor. And they said he was busy. And I said, I will wait. And I think they just got fed up with me, gave me the minute. I did my elevator pitch, and he said, start tomorrow. And so I worked at the Daily News for a year. And while I was working there, I wrote some, I guess, good pieces, because Wycliffe Bennett, who people would call the Cecil B. DeMille of the Caribbean, read some of my work, said he got this commission to do CariFesta 76. And he said, you and only you can write my press releases. And that is how I got into PR.
Excellent. So talk to me about your time as a PR officer at CariFesta in 76.
It was absolutely fantastic. Here I am, early 20s, going to Canada, going to the UK, promoting CariFesta, and watching Jamaica's talent and the Caribbean's talent unfold on the stadium grounds, unfold at the theaters around Jamaica with the Jamaican folk singers, unfold in this Caribbean Grand Market. It was so exciting. And as a UWI graduate, we get this Caribbean identity, and to see it unfolding with so much color and joy. One of the people in my department was actually Lorna Goodison, our poet laureate. And I tell you, Lorna, she again was such a writer. She had her yellow pad, and she was always writing. And she had a wicked sense of humor. So Wycliffe Bennett was a great mentor. Merrick Needham, who was Deputy Director General, was also a fantastic mentor and remains my friend. And there was Eric Coverley, who Louise Bennett Coverley's husband. So of course I met Miss Lou.
Nice.
It was such a fantastic experience, yes.
Mrs. Chin, recently you were the mentor at the PSOJ's mentorship dinner. And what stood out for me, and you said notebook, and it clicked to me because we had a meeting here this morning with our CEO and a co-worker of mine and myself. As we were about to step into the meeting, we ran back and we grabbed our notebooks. And then he says, who's your guest today? And I said, Jean Lowrie Chin. And he goes, yeah, we have to get the notebooks.
Yes.
Speak to me about the significance of the notebook.
Okay, well, even in this digital age, research has shown that when you write, you actually remember better. But not only that, if you are serious about the engagements that you are having, then you need to note what you have committed to. Because as brilliant and as great as our memories may be, you're going to forget.
Yes.
And it could cause you so much embarrassment. So it's best to make a note of these things. And also what I find is, even in last week, there was this destination conference. And there was so much wisdom and experience and innovation in that room. And thank goodness I had my notebook.
Yes.
Because I could make notes. When I went to our weekly production meeting on Monday morning, I was able to project the pictures I took on my phone on the screen and describe. So it was as if I was just retelling the conference. So everybody got so enthused. So the notebook is so powerful because it allows you to remember. It also allows you to share.
It does.
Yes.
The notebook has become a mainstay for me because I have mommy brain now. I tend to forget a lot of things. So I know that you're a mom and you have 2 children, Anita and Noel. I want to talk to you about mommy Jean.
Yes.
What are you like as mom?
Well, I had always wanted to be a mother. And after about 10 years of trying to get pregnant, I realized that I had this condition that I hear a lot of people talking about it now, endometriosis.
Yes.
And so we decided to adopt. And we just said the first child we heard about, we would adopt, and that was Anita. And then Anita became so the center of everything. I said, you need a sibling. And along came Noel 3 years later. And Anita is in the business as general manager of ProDev, which is the real estate development company. And Noel is property manager for our real estate investments.
Excellent.
Yes.
Speak to me about the distinction between Procom, ProDev, and CCRP.
Okay. So Procom, I would say, is a mother company. And then and I encourage everybody to let your children play Monopoly. We played Monopoly until real estate became a part of all the 4 of us, my siblings and I. And so even as I started Procom, I was looking around to invest in real estate. And as a result of that, I had this property at Phoenix Avenue. And I think it was when everybody was in the doldrums about 6 years ago about this IMF deal. I said, I need to do something bold. I had watched Dennis O'Brien, an Irishman, come to Jamaica and break ground in downtown Kingston, right next to what they say is a trouble area. And I said, I need to step up too. And so we decided to start this real estate development company and to put up this commercial complex, Phoenix Central at Phoenix Avenue. The next project in the pipeline is an apartment building, modest one, at Kingsway, our first address of Procom. And then when we had our 30th anniversary, I said, we need to give back. We were so grateful for what we had achieved. That's Procom. So nearly 10 years ago, we decided to start CCRP, the Caribbean Community of Retired Persons. And it has now grown to over 2,500 members.
Wow.
We have a Central Jamaica chapter. We launched a Western Jamaica chapter just a month ago, and we'll be launching a Northeast Jamaica chapter next month. So it's growing. We have over 80 discount partners. Sagicor has partnered with us in offering a major medical health insurance with no age limit.
Fantastic.
So I encourage everybody who is over 50 to join CCRP.
Mrs. Chin, why the need for CCRP that focuses particularly on parents and seniors? What is it that you think that they needed assistance with particularly?
I think we are not so aware. We're not very aware that, number one, our senior population is underserved. Even when we speak about special needs, as people grow older, they join that special needs population. And we're also hearing terrible stories about elderly abuse.
Yes.
And we're also hearing disrespectful remarks about the elderly or older folks, or not even people who are all that old. We're hearing people who are not even 60 yet being called dinosaurs.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. We need to understand that what is important at the workplace is diversity.
Right.
I love the energy and the innovation of our millennials, and I love the experience and the wisdom of our more mature workers. And I think when we can join those together, I think that is when you will have the perfect workplace. So let us learn to respect each other. There was one of the professors who presented last week, yes. Professor Hill from Harvard.
Yes.
She says in every organization, there are slices of genius. In every individual, there are slices of genius. And the challenge to the leader is how you are going to identify, uncover, and nurture those slices of genius.
So speak to me about your leadership style.
Well, my leadership style has changed radically, thank God. 10th anniversary of Procom.
Yes.
We had a retreat, and we brought in my sister, who is an organizational development specialist, a master's graduate from Johns Hopkins. And she did private interviews with my team members
Okay.
and discovered that I was authoritarian. I was a know-it-all.
Oh dear.
And that first night was very ugly. I got upset. She had to call a timeout. And we had to start anew. I had to take a very close look at myself. And that was a turning point. So thank you, Frances Baird, my sister. That was a turning point for the company. Then I learned that I need to listen. I need to show more respect for my team members. I need to value them more. And I think is what has helped us to get to now to our 40-year milestone.
So your leadership style directly impacted the success of your business.
I think so. I hope so. But of course, again, respect for your team, because you cannot do anything without a great team. And the wonderful thing about my team, they're all volunteers, for CCRP.
Really?
But yes, because CCRP really has no great resources. Our membership fees are $2,500 a year.
Oh.
And we run an office. We have a volunteer who comes in 4 hours every day.
Yes.
Total volunteer. The people running it in Central Jamaica are volunteers. The people running it in Montego Bay are volunteers. And the ones who are going to run it in St. Anna are volunteers. So it's not, leadership is one thing. I think the most important thing in leadership is to value your team, respect your team, and depend on your team, because you alone, you are not the fountain of all this wisdom. This know-it-all attitude I had, if I had kept it up, I don't know where we'd be now.
Dear. Speak to me as an author, soul dance, contributing to the history of Jamaica, starting the Flair magazine, that is the backbone of Jamaican media. How did all of that get started?
Well, at Henri Hendricks, pale-faced Tony Hendricks'
Yes.
dad, he was advertising manager at Gleaner, and he called and said, listen, we need a pitch for this magazine that we want to have for, at the time, young women. And several of us pitched, and I won. So Procom won. Flair was produced out of Procom. At the time, they had the big floppy disks, and every minute they
Yes.
get viruses and
Yes.
back and forth. So I was editor. I was the first editor of Flair for 3 years. And it again, such an exciting journey. We had features, one called Woman at Work, which I really enjoyed writing, and Big Date, and interview with Sir Florizel and Lady Glasspool, which is still at the Institute if anybody wants to read it. Great history. So that was an exciting time. And then I've always been writing. As I mentioned, I'm a writer at heart.
Yes.
So finally we decided 30 years of writing, we should really put it in a book. And of course, I'm a columnist for the Jamaica Observer.
Right.
So some of the writings in the book are from the early columns, and then poetry from way back, from high school.
In all your giving back, is there one moment that stands out in your mind as some kind of validation and just a reminder to yourself that, Jean, this is why you do this?
Well, the way Procom started, I was working for this ad agency, and every year they took these children from a children's home to the Pegasus. And I noticed that children only had a sweet drink. I asked, can they get a burger? And they said, well, the budget could not accommodate a burger for 40 children, So I ran upstairs. Carol Guntley was the sales manager. I said, Carol Guntley, I didn't know her well then. I said, Miss Guntley, could you give these children a burger, and I'll give you some PR for it?
Yes.
And she gave them the burger, and I moved heaven and earth and got a full-page spread with these children enjoying Pegasus. She called me the next day and said, I need you to freelance for me. A few months later, she says, listen, we need you in-house. We'll offer you an office in exchange for your services. And so I had a lovely office on the first floor of the Pegasus on a contra deal. And that is how Procom started, because I wanted these children to have protein.
Fantastic. I love it.
Yes.
Okay, talk to me about mentorship. Are you a mentor yourself? And what are you particularly proud about with your mentees?
Well, I think all of the folks who have passed through Procom can say that I really worked hard to be a mentor. I have always said to them, listen, learn, qualify yourself, even if your knowledge takes you through the door, I don't mind. I just want to see you move up in the world. I remember one young lady, I can call her name Sherry Martin. She came to work with us. She was so fabulous. And a few months later, she came with tears in her eyes and said, Mrs. Chin, I'd applied to NCB some months before. I didn't hear from them, so I took this job. I love it here. What should I do? I said, my dear, you must go to NCB. I can't offer you what NCB offers.
I know she's fabulous. I know
And look
her.
at her.
Yes.
Right. So I think the important thing is that that's what we're here to do. We're here to lift others up. We're here to affirm others. And therefore, I do try my best to be a mentor with all of the young people with whom I come into contact.
What would you say to the young entrepreneurs, men and women alike, who think, I want to be the next Lowrie Chin?
I would say to them, go for it. I would say to them, it's so important to be bold, to be courageous. But one of the things I would advise them to do, which is something I think I hoped I knew earlier, always ensure that your business engagements are in writing. Sometimes you think this person is very trustworthy and just a handshake and whatever. No, I suggest you document all your business engagements and of course ensure that you have a good accountant because you want your business to continue. And remember, the first few years are going to be very challenging. And that's why it's so important to persevere and to learn from those challenges, to learn. You are sometimes going to have failures. Learn from them and move on.
Thank you so much for joining me. Mrs. Lowrie Chin, Executive Chairman of Procom, ProDev, and CCRP. And let me tell you something, this is the most multifaceted individual that you will ever meet. She has done so much for her country and continues to do so much, and we continue to expect great things from Mrs. Chin. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Rochelle. It was an absolute pleasure.
It was my exquisite pleasure to have you. Of course, this is our last episode today in this season. But if you missed any of our episodes, you can check them out on the Loop Jamaica website. It's www.loopjamaica.com. And the episodes will be there for you. Thank you again, Mrs. Chin. And looking forward to hearing more great things from you. Thanks, guys.